Yo, guys. So, what kind of bees produce milk?
What kind?
It's right there. It is right there.
That's what.
Let me give Cynthia a chance to answer.
What?
What kind of bees produce milk?
It's right there. Like, don't even overthink it. Iko tu hapo.
What kind of bees?
Produce milk.
Honeybee.
Hapa.
No.
Booby.
Like it was right. Welcome everyone to Honor Friday yet again. My name is Ron.
I'm Pascal. I'm hoping you have the Friday feeling. You're cool, you're relaxed. Even if you're not, in your mind, Chago, it's a Friday today.
Yes.
It's a Friday now that you're listening.
Yeah, it's why we are here.
Yeah, it's on a Friday.
Yes, and today tumerudisha one very special guest. Make second appearance.
Bana.
Cynthia,
Yes.
would you like to introduce yourself again?
No, the last time you introduced me, it's better when... Yeah.
You-
I'm a guest, so...
There's that one introduction that we can't give you. That when mwenyewe ndo ulijisomesha ndo upate. Hiyo.
Introduce to Tena, just for
Okay.
that sake.
Wakumbushe. It's been, what, 8 years of studies? Remind them.
Okay, sawa. My name is Cynthia Kitolo. I'm an advocate of the High Court. Yes. Hiyo si ndio mlikuwa mnataka
Lazima
kusikia?
wakumbuke.
Hiyo, lazima wakumbuke. They have to remember.
Yes.
Yes, and I think before we start today's episode, I think it's only appropriate for us to give a disclaimer because we are going to talk about alcohol and consent. So if the subject is a bit sensitive to you, this is a disclaimer before we start.
This episode is trigger warning.
Yes, trigger
Even from the joke.
because people have different experiences. Yeah, so we don't know. It's just fair to give that early trigger warning. But yes, sorry. Today we're going to talk about alcohol and consent, and just to give a brief background context as to why we decided to have this conversation. First of all, we are aware that it's a very sensitive topic. Si ati hatujui, tunajua. But that's a huge reason why we wanted to talk about it. And it's one very big reason why we're joined by Cynthia again, because we want also to give a legal perspective to how the law deals with such cases. And hatukuwa tunataka tu kupatiana opinions zetu, this is how it should be treated. But yeah, how does the law actually view such ninis? So yeah, we'll get perspective from the legal point from Cynthia all through the conversation. Yeah, but it will still be a conversation like we have had before.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll have that legal.
Maybe to start it off, Ron, why do you think it's important to have that conversation?
First of all, jua Kenya ni walevi. Acha tuanzie hapo. Jua Kenya ni walevi. Kaa kuna shares haziendangi chini ni za EABL. It has a very constant share market that so jokes aside, or rather it's still on that line. Yeah, it's not uncommon for you to actually, if you don't, in any circle that you're involved in, like ukiangalia all your circles, if you don't see anyone who indulges in alcohol, I would be very surprised. Yeah, like true. That's how much tunapenda pombe. And of course, with enjoyment, let me call it enjoyment, kuna kwangana other engagements. Yeah. So people, watu wenda club, they drink, wanajibamba, wanna meet new people they find attractive. Yeah, one thing leads to another, wanapelekana mali watapelekana, like it happens. Yes. Yeah, and it happens on a weekly basis. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why we felt like this would be an important conversation for us to have. Yeah.
Okay, I was looking at it from, and I hope I'm not misogynistic.
Iyo.
You said it keeps happening around, and I've been in presence here, ladies, some chicks, and we're drinking and just having fun, and you're always worried about something. As a guy with a group of girls, there are always guys when ataka msa could try and vibe
Yeah.
with our friends.
Yeah.
And you know, so personally in that position, I know the lady friends are drunk.
Yeah.
We've been drinking. I know they're intoxicated. I know they're not in their correct self.
Yeah.
But the question always comes up, akisema ako sawa, that she likes the guy mwenye amekuja hapo kumkatia, and the guy mwambie, oh, sijui twende basement or rooftop or kwa gari or nje or something.
Yeah.
And she goes ahead. It always becomes, okay, do I stop her? Do I let her go ahead? Yeah, she's drunk and she'll do some things.
Yeah.
But personally, I'm not convinced she's in the right frame of mind to consent to anything.
Alafu unajua wewe unamjua. Since umena naye out for a few times, you know how drunk her looks like.
Yes.
Like, you know that.
Yeah.
But for strangers, a stranger might not know. Like, ushai meet dem mwenye, like in a club, when you're just having fun, then you've met her, like for the first time. You have never met this chick before. Then it seems like she's very sober. Like, mnaongea naye vizuri, mnapiga story and all that. But later on, maybe kesho asubuhi mkiongea anakuambia, I really don't remember the conversation.
Yeah.
Miss
Yes.
like, I really don't
you at
remember
the third
anything.
location,
Yeah.
at the
Yes.
third venue. Yet at the third venue ndo alikuwa approached by a guy.
Na hakuwa
Kwa
amezima.
gari yake, na hakuwa amezima by the
Yeah.
that she was
Yeah.
still walking, she was still laughing, still doing shots.
Yeah.
Wakaambia ende kwa gari na wakaenda kwa gari.
Yeah.
And then ukitry kumstop ako like, I'm having fun, I'm good, it's cool, I know him. Like, no you don't.
Yeah.
Juu unamjua. Unajua, you are drunk.
So
like, you're
this-
not sober.
Yes, this is not how you usually are. And
Yeah.
those situations now, for me, Cynthia, that's what mainly where I'm coming from on this conversation, where I'm worried about such when it's not just girls.
Yeah.
My boy pia ulewa aduana cheesy hivo and that get taken advantage of.
Yeah.
So in that situation, we brought in Cynthia to maybe help us understand what the law is. And in that situation, because they do happen, malidem ameenda hivyo naturally, patana wakiwa drunk, waende kwa gari, and stuff happens. What does the law say about that? What not precautions, what happens after that?
Ngoja kwanza, kabla tu mention hiyo, kabla tuingize pombe kwa hii story. Kabla tuingize pombe kwa hii story.
Yeah.
I was curious, is there a provision or a definition in our legal system what consent is? Because I think one of the clearest thresholds of consent that most of us know, if not all of us, yuko age.
Yes,
So age-wise
yes.
tunajua below 18 yani mali ya serikali achana nayo. Yeah, regardless of how anakaa, like achana nayo.
Hata yeye mwenyewe akisema anataka.
Yeah, like that,
Achana nayo.
her consent or his consent doesn't count because they're underage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But apart from the age context, is there any other restriction around consent?
Or way of defining it and making it
that
clear.
you can mention?
This is in relation to sex or
Yes.
anything else?
Yes.
Okay, so when it comes to sex, there's a Sexual Offences Act. So apart from
Hiyo ni act
age,
gani? But ukigoogle to sexual offense act utaipata.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
sawa.
So this is the legislation that governs anything to do with sex.
Yeah.
Whether it's sexual assault, whether ni kutusi mtu in a sexual way,
Yeah.
whether it is indecent act. Indecent act ni ile mtu anaweza vua nguo.
Or masturbating in public.
Yes.
The joke
yes.
yenye nimesema, does that count?
Well, because we're in this setting and we all know each other, aina shida. But if you are outside there,
Yeah.
well,
It would
you
be a
know,
tricky
it
one.
would be tricky. Yeah.
Okay.
So when it comes to sex,
Yeah.
one mmeipata on age, very important.
Yeah.
Yes. So the other thing, it must be voluntary and must be free consent and informed.
Frequent.
Free consent.
You
So, so consent must be free.
Oh.
So it must be voluntary.
Yeah.
One, it must be informed. You must know what you're giving consent to. So when it comes to the context of sex, you must know that you're giving consent to having sex with someone,
Yeah.
right? It must be voluntary. It must be free will. You're not
Yeah.
induced in any way. So even in
Say
the...
ati sleep with me so that I can give you a job.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So, like, for example, like that example you've given, when someone tells you sleep with me, I give you a job, then that becomes sexual harassment,
Yeah.
right? In the context of alcohol, right? Always peana that consent because it will not be free.
Yeah.
Because when you're high or when you're alcohol induced, then the voluntariness from you, your free will, kind of departs from you.
Yeah.
So in a way, you're not really you don't really know what you're doing kabisa.
Yeah.
Yes.
So on that, now that tumeingiza pombe kwa hii story, I was curious, is there a legal threshold, the amount of alcohol one has to consume for them to be, for the law to acknowledge that this person was not in a position to give consent? Ama shot moja ni sawa? Like, ukipiga shot moja, is it enough for you to say, huwa hezi patiana consent? Yeah, or lazima ifike level fulani?
Okay, on threshold,
Yeah.
if you look at the laws and how they are, the only thing that kind of gives us thresholds is the NTSA Act. Because NTSA deals with traffic, right?
Yeah.
See, they have that alcohol law thing. So hapo ndio unaweza ona the threshold bit of it.
Yeah.
But when it comes to other realms, that threshold has not yet been put. You can't say that because someone maybe took 3 shots, like maximum ni 3 shots. Only the threshold has come in when it comes to traffic.
Yeah.
Because it's the alcohol and there's an instrument that can be measured and you can blow into.
Yeah.
But now when it comes to other realms, other things, then hakuna hiyo threshold. So when it comes to alcohol, it's more subjective.
Yeah.
Right? There are people who are heavy drinkers and there are people who are light drinkers. There are even people who need alcohol to function when it comes to work, right?
Yeah, like functioning alcoholics.
Yes. So you can't just put a blanket threshold and say that for you to take more than maybe 3 bottles of beer, then you have gone above, except when it comes to traffic.
Yeah.
Because there now you have to blow into an instrument. So hapo tunjo, there's a threshold. Those other areas, no, there's no threshold under the law.
Okay. Forgive my naivety.
Naivete.
Yes, but nakumbuka there's an episode nilikuwa na watch ya Suits. And there's a place where this guy, he's a recovering gambling addict.
Yes.
Both alcoholic and gambling addict. So he's really enjoying life. So
Yeah.
So he gambled his company and he lost. So for now akahaya kina Harvey na kina Mike Ross wakuja wamtetee. So Mike Ross spent the whole night going through footage the previous night to see how much alcohol this guy took for them to determine whether he was
not of sound mind.
Yeah, of sound mind to give this consent.
Yes.
So do we have something like that in Kenya? Ama venye tu umesema, it only applies to traffic? Like, is there a point where judge anaweza sema, the amount of alcohol in your blood was too high for you to make a sound decision, hence, yes, you are not in a position to make this decision?
Actually, there's a penal code.
Okay.
So the penal code is now the legislation that lists all the crime. Zote, be it stealing, whatever, zote ziko hapo. When you look at section 13 of the penal code, it brings, it talks on intoxication.
Yeah.
So there's a general rule. You can't use intoxication as a defense, but there are exceptions, right? There are 2 exceptions. The first exception, because most rules, there's always the general rule, right? So the general rule is that intoxication cannot be used as a defense. But there are 2 exceptions. And hizo ndio zitaplay into your example. Okay. So the first exception is if you become intoxicated accidentally, meaning I come to maybe Pascal, Nah, I give you a drink. Maybe it's a bit sweet.
Yeah.
What drinks are sweet?
The juice too.
Alcoholic or not.
Yeah, an
So
alcoholic
with
drink.
guarana.
Yeah, maybe it's guarana, right? You have never had guarana before.
Yeah.
I tell you it's juice, and I tell you drink.
Yeah.
Drink.
Yeah.
So you're on your fourth bottle and you're like,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
You see, that's
nikubaya.
accidental.
Yeah.
Right? If someone comes, or when you get drunk accidentally,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Then the second
Ngoja,
one.
does that apply to other drugs as well? Like
Yes.
nikiingia kwa gari ya Pascal na alikuwa kichoma alafu ni get high. Like does that
Uko na
But
dinner
what is
video.
but what is the possibility that would happen? Okay, but you know there are drugs that are in tablets. So
Yeah.
maybe someone tells you
Take
this will
this.
heal you.
Yeah,
Maybe
or they
you're
put it in
suffering.
your
ama hii ni
drink.
Panadol? Hii
Yes,
inakuanga
yes,
Panadol
yes.
yangu.
Ama
You
weke
see-
tu kwa drink yako.
Yes.
Okay.
So you can use that as a defense. So that's the first exception.
Yeah.
The second one is you became so drunk, you became insane. You really didn't know what you were doing. Completely.
How does the law define insanity at that point? Like, is it how you are acting, ama how you are?
So insanity is one, not knowing what you're doing. But even if you knew what you were doing, you didn't know it was wrong. That's insanity. So one, you don't know what you're doing, right? But even if you knew what you were doing, you didn't think it's wrong.
Okay.
So in this sense, let's now put it in the perspective. I will not use, I'll just use the topic for today, sex, right? So if you are to use intoxication as a defense, and this is in those small,
Yeah.
you know, those exceptional
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
So you'll actually argue, one, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know I was having sex.
Okay.
I didn't know the act I was doing
Yeah.
amounted to sex. But even if I knew it was, I didn't know it's something wrong.
Okay.
Yes.
And would now the law rely on your word that you weren't, like, is there an objective way to assess your claim in that case? If you make that claim, is there an
Yes.
objective way to, ama the judge will just take your word for it?
No. And now this is where these cases become very tricky.
Yeah.
Like, for example, the example Pascal was giving, Menda out now, I say.
Yeah.
And then the other thing we should keep in mind, it doesn't just apply to ladies. It can
Yeah.
also apply to guys. Just
Yes.
like guys don't go out there and say they were raped
Yeah.
or something bad happened to them.
Yeah.
So let's give a scenario,
Yeah.
Menda out, right? It's Pascal and we give, Pascal and me, right?
Yes.
It's Pascal and Cynthia. So I find Pascal, we don't know each other
Yeah.
in this scenario. It is best if
Yeah.
we give that scenario. So you're there having your fun with Ron, yes? Then I come in with my friends. So we are having fun. You ask me if I'll take something, I say it's sour. So we are there, you take, I take, nini. One thing leads to another, and you know what alcohol does.
Yeah.
We find, I wake up, right?
The
In this
following
scenario.
day.
Yes. I
Kwa
mean,
nyumba ya Pascal.
hata sijui kwa ni wapi.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Pascal. I'm like, whoa, I can't even remember this guy.
Ushaona hiyo feeling ushaikuwa na hiyo feeling ya kwanza unafungua macho unaona hiyo kuta ikai familia.
Yeah.
First of all, like, I know how my bed looks like when I wake up, and this is not it. Then unaangalia kando unaona Pascal uko like,
Huyu sa-
na huyu ni nani?
Alafu kiangalia ndo unarudisha ujui mali uko.
You
Yeah.
really don't.
Yeah, those three things just
Yeah.
And the first thing that, of course, will come to my head, I'll be in shock,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Depending with how people are, kuna mwenye ataamka achukue vitu zake aende.
Yeah.
Kuna mwingine tu ataanza.
Yeah.
Who are you? What am I doing here?
Yeah.
How did I get here?
Yeah.
What did you do to me?
Yes.
Yes.
Pascal is trying to explain nini. You
That
see?
it was voluntary, it was all
Yes.
in a mutual
Yes.
agreement.
So in such a scenario,
Yeah.
for example, if it was me, right, and I don't know nimeamka, I don't even know what's happening,
Yeah.
the first thing I would advise someone, and I'll see.
Yeah.
And I'll see.
Yeah.
Because even if you try and recall what was happening the previous night and you're like, well, I kind of remember meeting Pascal, or I don't know, you know.
Yeah.
Because it can be in two kind of scenarios where one, you feel you got drunk. The other thing is maybe you consented, so you're not sure, right? So the first thing, if you feel violated, or you feel something happened and you didn't want, the first thing as a lady, even as a guy, go to hospital. Because when it comes to sexual cases, when you go to court, the first point is they need that doctor's evidence. So if you don't have that,
it compromises your case.
Everything. Because in this case, it's Pascal's word against mine. So how can no one else was there? You know. So the only thing that can help me or help the person who was assaulted is first to have evidence, medical evidence. Where, because when a doctor examines you, then they can tell. Right? They can tell if it was forceful, all that. Because that is how most sexual cases are won or lost. Inaanzanga hapo. Before now we even go to these other things of how did you guys meet? Is there CCTV footage? Do you know this person and all that? Yes.
Okay. And let me throw some spanner in the works before Pascal asks any questions that he might want to ask. You mentioned before hizo exceptions using intoxication as a defense.
Yes.
So assuming umeamka, sindio, then ukajipata kwa kitanda ya Pascal. You really don't remember most of the details from last night. Haya, Pascal amke, pia anakuangalia, ako like, okay.
Unafanya nini kwa
kitanda yangu? Like, what are you doing here? Like, mimi najua niko kwangu. So mimi niko sawa. But wewe ni nani? I don't remember most of the things from last night. So of course, when you may advise, utaamka, because both of you are in shock. Utaamka, which I assume would happen most often than not, ni wewe ndo utenda hosi kugetiwa checked. Pascal atafikiria, one, he's a guy. Secondly, ako kwa nyumba yake, so he's not in a perceived area of danger. He's in a very familiar place. So
guys won't go, but the guys are tender.
Guys have a lot of them are tender, by the way. So uende, you get the medical records, then you come and claim, I don't know what Pascal did to me. Mimi niliamka nikifeel some sort of nini in my lower abdomen, and that's why I went to get checked, and I think he violated me. Then Pascal akiulizwa aseme hata mimi sikumbuki nini ili happen. Like whatever happened last night, it's a blank for both of us. Would he have an argument? How would now that be taken?
Okay. In this case, if I was acting for Pascal, and true to fact, he can't remember, because there's something we need to distinguish when it comes to this defense of intoxication. There are people who go ahead to drink to do criminal acts. For example, maybe you are going to murder someone, right? So unakunywa ndio ikupe psych, right? Then you go do the awful act. So there are men out there, by the way, even ladies, they want, I don't know if you guys watch Big Bang. Have you watched Big Bang? There's Rajesh. Do you know Rajesh?
Yes.
Before he talks to a lady, he must
yes.
So in that instance, if you're a guy and you use alcohol to be the thing that gives you confidence to go and do that bad act.
Liquid courage.
You see?
Yes, liquid courage.
Yes. That cannot be a defense. No way, right? Because this defense is very tricky. Because how can you prove that I took this alcohol, but I didn't take it to go and commit a certain act? I was just enjoying myself.
And that's why before niliuliza, like when you mention one thing, because Pia, you wouldn't want to put yourself in a situation where some people are using that as an excuse to go commit that act. So unaweza pata kuna mtu mwenye ataenda anajua limit yake ni let's say shots 15. But atapiga shots 7 lower hiyo nini apate confidence akuja kukatia kuingize box anakumbuka, but akiamka asubuhi aseme hata mimi it was all fuzzy. Like will we just take his word for it that well pia anasema, or will we just take it as okay, this is what you claim? Now how do we determine if that's actually the case?
So those are the things. I know the defense is there,
Yeah.
but practicality coming to prove it and using it as a defense.
Yeah.
Especially that one for accidental. That one you can say I've never touched alcohol in my life
Yeah.
ever. You can even try and use urine. I've never.
Yeah.
For this first time, this certain incident, someone must have drugged me. Someone must have put that alcohol in my system. You see, that's a defense.
Yeah.
And you can prove. Maybe
Yeah.
you can use past behaviors, or you can use no one stores urine. See,
hata nikonsome medical report we don't even check those
yeah, we
pia.
don't check those things. So I know the defense is there under the law, but the times it has actually succeeded, you must really prove. You must, because the thing with cases, criminal cases, proof is everything. If you can provide the evidence there, then it becomes clear cut.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if that answers.
Me niko naona girls might also take advantage of that because
Yes.
the same situation. They want to get with a guy, but they need that liquid courage.
Yeah.
So pia anaanza the same excuse, they are taking more shots,
Yes.
more alcohol, akijua vizuri sana. It will give them the courage, but it's something they're on the fence about. And then it just gives them the courage to actually go ahead. They meet up with a guy, they're like, me, I'm drunk, I want to do this. And they do it, and then some feelings come up afterwards, and she now starts using that as a defense. That, I was drunk, I didn't consent to this.
Maybe anaweza feel regret. I'm I'm not really sure that I wanted to do this.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now she makes a whole big story for the guy, and the guy was just going by consent. But now, proof, he can't prove that it was consensual, mutually consensual. So what does that mean for the guy who's been blamed as the villain in this scenario?
So in this case, like I've advised the ladies what to do. I'll say for the guy, do the same thing. If you feel like this lady took advantage of you,
You're not taking advantage.
No, in this case, I think what he's trying to explain is Dema ameamka. Amesema she feels like he took advantage of her.
Nakasama, she was drunk.
Yes.
But she was still in control of her senses. She knew what was happening. And venye tu alcohol ilimfanya afikiri a different type of way. But the facts were still there. And then she decided to hook up with the guy. And then in the morning when she feels regret, she turns the whole story kukua, I did not consent to this. And now she makes the guy the villain. When in all honesty, in that situation, the guy was just going ahead with what they both agreed to.
Yes.
So in that situation, how should the guy, what options does the guy have in that particular scenario?
Wow.
From a legal standpoint.
From a legal standpoint?
Yes.
Okay. Were there witnesses when she was giving you this consent?
No, let's give the benefit. No, let's give the benefit of the doubt.
Consent.
No, let me give. Let us give the benefit of the doubt. Let's try to look at the best case scenario, because I'm trying to see.
Best case scenario would be there weren't any people. Time ya consent.
No, there were.
Time ya consent.
Let's say walikuwa kwa club.
When you're doing the dirty in the sheets,
walikuwa kwa club.
witnesses.
Let's say tulikuwa kwa club si wote watatu. Then mi nilikuwa hapo nikiona Cynthia kiwhisper
akidance na wewe
akikuambia let's go to your place. Like I witnessed
even if
that.
the guy said it first, but she went along willingly.
Yes, like alikuwa yes.
But you see, the people who are there as witnesses, they will agree that both of them were drunk. The girl was drunk, the guy was drunk. They were dancing like they're drunk. They were talking like they're drunk. They were drinking like they're drunk.
Yeah.
So that's as much as
were
we'll
both
get from the witness.
Yeah. Well, first witnesses. But let's say in a scenario where there are no witnesses, just you and the lady, and this lady has woken up and she feels a lot of regret. Wow. Hiyo itakuwa tricky.
Tricky for who?
Itakuwa tricky for the guy.
Okay.
Right?
No, I just wanted that point to be clear to the listeners.
Boy child no anateseka hapo.
This one would be tricky. But what I would advise, if she kind of turns on you and you remember fully well, and you know that she's coming from a point of regret, pia wewe enda OC. have your evidence somewhere. So that if anything should happen, then you say, my first step when I woke up, because when it comes to a case, it's your word against.
Yeah, there's.
Right?
Yeah.
So if your word has more evidential evidence to it, or if you have documents, if you have medical reports and all that, then your story becomes a bit more believable than the other parties. Yeah.
Follow-up question, Apple. Wouldn't that just be the guy shooting himself in the head? Because now he has proof on his side that he actually had sex with.
But the chick also has
who's
proof.
claiming-
May I ask you what it helps? The chick
Yeah.
also has proof that they had sex. The guy has proof.
that they have sex,
and-
and it's the chick claiming that it was non-consensual.
Yeah. And
So
the
how
guy remembers
is that
it was
evidence in that
consensual,
case
but
benefiting the guy in that case?
Well, I know it's
it's tricky.
it's more disadvantageous to the
Yeah.
guy, because the more I think about it,
Because me nafikiri now, I just have evidence that
Yeah.
that I potentially messed up.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
like,
all your
I
friends
have
saw
that.
you, both
Yeah.
of you being drunk and living together.
Yeah.
That's what everyone else saw. Everything else that happened after that was in private. So your word versus hers,
Yeah.
how do we stop that deadlock?
So in this instance, and I know that's why I was when I began this entire conversation, I know there are a lot of guys out there who have been taken advantage of.
Yeah.
But akiamka hivi, they can't say anything
Yeah.
because they already know everything. The odds are stacked against them.
Yeah.
Right? So advice especially to a guy, let the sex be kabisa voluntary, ikue informed and alcohol free.
Hapo ndo nilikuwa nakujia.
Alcohol free.
That's one place I agree with you, because I acknowledge that it's a very sensitive
It's a
issue.
very- yeah,
Unaget?
yeah.
Because hawezi amka asubuhi useme tu, well, yes, she was. Like, if we leave that leeway, then a lot of people will take advantage.
Yes.
If we leave that leeway, okay, the chick was drunk, and the guy is claiming that she wasn't drunk enough, that she was only drunk to the level where she could give consent, like she had her cognitive abilities intact.
Yes.
If we leave that leeway to iache tu hivo, then a lot of guys will be using it as an excuse.
Yeah.
Get?
Yeah,
So
for sure.
I do understand that. And so on that point, ataka Pascal ameangalia nini, which, yes, because hiyo
You're
ndo
not
point
giving-
yenye inapatianga wasee liquid courage. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very hard to put like limit barrier alcohol on it. It is because the reason we have it's because people do keep on getting drunk and engaging in alcohol and then going on to engage in being intimate.
Yeah.
And it happens a lot, and that's
Yes.
why the whole situation comes up here. People talking about they did not give consent,
Yeah.
borderline rape, or totally fully they say they were raped.
Yeah.
And they can't separate alcohol.
but there a lot of people can't. That's
Especially
true.
young people, they can't
Yeah.
separate alcohol, drugs, and sex. All
Yeah.
those things just go hand in hand.
Yes.
Na, so what personally more advice, watu niki have a conversation, what more advice, guys,
Yeah.
to be more specific. And this mostly applies to the ladies you don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, umeenda
Yeah.
club,
Yes.
umepata demuko for the first time. First of all, like, kama haujaona idea msichana, usiende naye mahali.
For sure.
Because honestly, there's a time I went with a relative of mine kumnunulia, her parent alikuwa namnunulia uniform. So tukaenda some place somewhere in Yaya kubai uniform. Then this family walks in. It's a mother and a daughter. So at first glance, mi niliangalia nikafikiria, okay, she's probably in my case where tumekuja kununulia mtu. But yeye ndo alikuwa naenda shule. Yeye ndo alikuwa high school. So I just look at this chick, niko like, in all honesty, ukitana udem club, hautajua kwa high school.
Unapatananga nao clubs na walai ujua kwa high school.
Especially shule zikifungwa.
Yeah.
Kwanza
It's a
sahi
very
mashule
tricky time.
zinafungwa.
Yeah.
So more advice wanaume. I know it sounds like a lot of work and a lot of people actually don't go through this process.
Yeah.
But kama haujaona idea udem, unakumbuka ile ngoma ya nani?
Eh.
Gymwat.
Gymwat,
Nakumbuka.
nililala
First year,
under 18. No, but this is
Yeah.
nimekuwa nikisikia hizo story mob from different people, Nairobi, Mombasa, where wanaenda club wapatana na dem ile mnajienjoy, mko poa, namba ya drinks, hata mwenye alikuwa akikunywa before, so you all have a good time, then the following day is when they notice, so either akienda home na yeye ama they don't, but the noticing wakiwa hapo. The following days when you come to notice from different things, unaangalia alikupea namba, unaangalia profile photo and notice cheki ako na picha ya akiwa amevaa uniform, or akupatie IG yake uende kuangalia na tena ako na uniform, or just something always lets you know.
Amona mulza M-Pesa na kuambia ana M-Pesa
vitu kama hizo, and they never tell. Under 18 they never come out to say okay niko under 18. Jua vizuri sana kuna mtu atataka form yao that. So they always keep it hidden, and then in the morning after being intimate, when they do feel that regret after doing something they wanted to do but they got alcohol to push them to do it, they will come back and blame it on the guy.
Not in an incident where I agree with you, but even in an instant where they won't come and blame you. Like let's say you'll just have a good night iende. Still the point stands, this person is not of age ya consent. So mtu tu akiona
ikitokea tu mahali popote mlishiko
cameras or anything, hata akitaka kukusupport akisema
because the parents
I
get
don't
involved.
regret
And it becomes defilement actually. Now it's not even rape. It becomes defilement because this is a child under the law.
A difference in sentences ni
defilement relates to kids, right?
Like in terms of years imprisonment.
Defilement is more.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a worse crime when it comes to someone who is not of age.
Yeah. So that's usually the first thing more advice my guy friends. Like make sure that chick has an ID before you leave the club. And secondly, hiyo ndo isa hiyo extreme case yenye venye Pascal has rightfully mentioned, a lot of people feel like they have to intertwine it for it to work. Like they have to intertwine the alcohol and sex for it to work. They can't separate. But maybe honestly, I've tried to think through it and I just don't see the upside of mixing alcohol and sex. Personally, I just don't see it.
It shouldn't be.
Because tukiamka asubuhi, Cynthia seme she didn't consent.
Casey.
Vita.
Jela. It's just, and then there was
I don't know about you, but I'm not cut out for committee. I am not.
And then now think about it this way. You're high. So you can't even remember. Was it good or was it bad?
It wasn't a good experience.
Yeah, you can't remember. And then now second, Casey. Right? Just...
the return on investment
exactly.
It's not there.
And then nowadays ukikam kukatia dem, it's not about you being the most handsome guy, right? Take this lady out on a date, give her good sweet words, she will now give that free consent voluntary.
Unajua kuna watu to Pascal's point, because we are trying to look at this from a very realistic point of view. Kuna watu wanaingianga club, both guys and chicks alike, but mostly nimeisikia from guys, where they have finally clicked with this chick. They don't know them. But unaona unidem tukitoana hapa, like tukitoka hapa and nothing has happened. Like ni kama chance imeenda. So this is my shot.
This is everything.
Like this is
a lot of guys think.
So akipima, assume it's a good person.
Yes.
Yeah, let's assume, because we know there are monsters out there.
Yeah.
Assume it's a good person. Okay, I really want to take this shot. So let me just gauge if her cognitive abilities are intact. I engage nae to his perception. Okay. She seems like akosawa. She seems like akosawa. Because again, I may meet this chick for the first time.
Yeah.
He really does not know.
No, yeah.
Yeah, no, udem akosawa. Then wakiamka asubuhi, ndo udem ana ala, we ni nani?
Yeah.
Like, how did we get here? Then it becomes a whole scenario.
Yes.
So muambia nome, ukiongea na demo sikie harufu ya pombe kwa mdomo, achana naye.
Yeah.
And guys pia wanahitaji kwanza kujua how to ask for consent.
Yeah.
Wanuma ulizangi consent. Like, we start coming to deal with it later on. After a few experiences, after you hit once, no utajua what is consent. But going by it, you never find a situation where guys ask for consent. I think kuna hizo memes that will share, you know, guys asking, can I kiss you? Can I touch your hand? But in a lot, especially in this Nairobi too, it doesn't happen. The fact that dem ako interested in you, ako hapo kando yako, anakusugua, anadance na wewe, guys wanachukulia ka that is consent. Hiyo inamaanisha I'm in, niko sawa. And then they do like one thing, anashika mali, anaona kuna kitu hiyo amepata consent. So even for girls, they need to be vocal. Like, no, okay, so girls, I'm getting that trend. Like, they are more vocal about it. Kidogo.
Let me
to point here,
disagree.
no, don't touch me there. Don't do that.
True.
Especially kwa club when you are places public. But guys still don't ask for consent.
True. And to your point,
and girls still don't say or stop to give consent. It's something people still need to work more on.
And to that point, because I was actually going through some material, not for this particular episode, but it's just something that has been fascinating me, like just trying to understand the whole scope of engagement. And one thing I learned from the materials I went through is, generally speaking, that's not how human beings interact. Not only in Nairobi.
Consent-wise, asking for
consent-wise. Like, people don't vocalize the consent. They don't. Venye tu umesema. Nakutana na Cynthia kwa club. Tuangaliane kutoka huku nione, okay, umeniangalia sana. Na pia Cynthia one, kijana ameniangalia sana. Then I make my move. I go there. One thing leads to another, tuanze kudance. Then, venye tu umesema. Namshika waist, ha complain. Namshika sijui wapi, ha complain.
Make out,
her complaint, she
consent.
seems to be enjoying it. So it's hata yeye hata simama kujiuliza or kuniuliza, well, is what we are doing okay? Like, are you comfortable with what we are doing? None of us will ask each other that. We will just continue doing until, again, assuming I'm a good person here, because again, there are those monsters out there. But assuming I'm a good person, even if I consciously try to pick out where points of resistance from her come from, sitazipata. Like, everything I do, she's okay with it. When I get so at that point,
kidogo even if you do see them, sometimes you see them, like unaona ametoa mkono mahali amekunini, the guy won't be like maybe ataki, itakuwa let me try again, let me try a different way. Bado the guy will try again.
So itakuwa like, okay, this area is a no-go zone
for now.
Ama this area 1 is a no-go zone, let me try area 2.
Ama tulewe turudi tena kwa hiyo area 1 tuangalie tena.
So that's one thing I came to learn.
That's bad.
Like, people don't vocalize. Like, that's not how human beings interact on a sexual level. Hata ukiangalia people having sex, they don't ask each other, are you okay? Are you okay? Inakwanga,
you just do
nianze kukushika, respond positively. That's where hata hizi memes zote zinatokea, where mademo na nini, kuna kuanga na hizi memes za ati the guy aliamka asubuhi, then akatry kumtoa the inner garments, alafu dem akainua hip kidogo kumsaidia. Unaget? Hapo hakuna, that is being taken as consent, because that's how people usually have, like, generally speaking. A lot of people don't. Sitamtoa alafu nimuulize, okay, is it okay if I do this? Ndaona kama anajifanya melala na aliamka kunisaidia, then that is fine.
True.
Unaget?
So, Cynthia, question on that. That's more of like implied consent. It's not vocal. It's never vocal at any point. Is the law clear on that?
No. When it comes to consent, you must vocalize it.
So
it
implied consent
expressed.
doesn't... okay.
It must be expressed. You must say yes. Yes.
Kulikuwa na meme fulani ya guys walianza kusainisha karatasi, like sign hapa and then tuendelee. Because true, if implied consent is not recognized under the law, inamaanisha ndio you can do an entire night with that chick, alikubali kila kitu, imply consent to everything, but akiamka morning aseme she didn't consent to anything, and it was never vocalized. That's where you go down legal wise.
Not that implied consent is not acceptable. There are instances acceptable, but relating to this topic must be expressed.
Vocal.
This person must say yes. They must be in the right state of mind. Yes, and they must be informed of what is going to happen.
Ndio ukisema what, so they're given consent. For instance, when I ask a chick, can I kiss you?
Yes.
And then she says yes. She only gave consent to me
kissing.
If
Yes.
I do anything else, if my hands get on and starts doing stuff, that is something different.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they must know that we are gonna have sex. There must be penetration and all that.
Yeah. But again, I believe one of the things that makes this a very complicated case to deal with is, again, like I said, hata wewe fikiria tu, in all your interactions, how many times were either you or whoever partner you had actually explicitly vocalized
Yes.
consent? How many times? It has almost never happened.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Almost
almost never happened.
Consent is not sexy.
Which it sounds controversial, but yeah, like ukipata dem mwenye every time ukitaka kumguza unamuuliza, okay, can I touch you here? Alafu ukitaka kumove your hand, can I touch?
Can I hold your hand?
Atakuangalia like,
can I kiss you? Like, no.
Like, bro, aujiamini.
Like what's wrong with you?
Like you don't know to do what
No, but I
true.
must speak for the ladies.
Yeah.
Here is the thing. I don't know about other people, but for me,
Yeah.
be express. Tell me what you really want.
Yeah.
Yes.
From the beginning.
From the beginning, even when we meet, if it's just me and you, Pascal meeting, tell me what you want. You want us to be friends? You want us to be more than friends? You want us to be friends with benefit? Just be very clear. And I think it comes with maturity, Pia. Yeah.
Now, in a case where, let's say in the scenario that we have just described, where, you know, the guy is making a move and there's no express consent, but you're going along with it. Like, how often does that usually happen?
Well, it happens a lot of times. Like you said, you're in the club, unasugua jamaa, anakushika paja, you are not saying anything, right?
Yeah.
It goes up to your chest area.
Yes.
To the things that make honey.
To your first jaw. You're not saying anything, right?
Yeah.
You see, there's also a fault on the lady, right? Yeah. Because if you're not comfortable with something,
vocalize it.
Vocalize it.
Si kutoa mkono hapo, the guy ukitoa mkono hapo from the paja, the guy atafikiria, okay, do you need another shot? Do you need
no,
to
but
try
actually, I would argue that, at least that's how I work. If I move my hands and the chick I express like some discomfort, najua that is a no-go zone. Yeah. That's not at trial 1 of 3. Najua that is a no-go zone. Yeah. I am not, until ye mwenye shike mkono wangu apeleke hapo, we are not going there.
Yeah.
Higher. I think as we are winding up, I wanted to know another interesting twist to this topic.
Yeah.
What if the substance being consumed is illegal?
Okay.
Tumenda to club flani West, I won't mention where.
Yeah.
But we have had very illegal substances that
we'll also not mention what.
That we will also not mention. But this substance
I'm not part of that.
Any scenario.
It is not legal and apana.
Yeah.
We know at a time Pablo Escobar haikuwa legal na hata sahi haiko legal.
Yeah.
What if that's the substance that we're dealing with here? Like,
okay.
would the law still consider lack of consent due to intoxication, or would it sort with, well, let's start with the fact that you are consuming an illegal substance? Like, how would it be approached?
So when you look at the definition of intoxication, your section 13, it goes down to say whether by alcohol or drugs. Okay? But then, if you look at this realistically, let's say in your scenario, maybe you're taking bang, or what are these other things people are taking?
Those ones. Those ones.
Wanazijua,
wanazifikiria sahi.
When it comes to this defense of intoxication, it doesn't matter if it was alcohol or drugs. But then, the way I look at it, if you're caught, maybe if you are even testifying, and you say I was intoxicated by bang or cocaine, right? I would first...
From the cocoa plant.
Yeah.
Let's be specific.
I'll first begin by asking, ulipata hiyo wapi?
Yeah.
Because it's an illegal drug. And that now falls into the narcotics. Yeah, if in your testimony you're trying to say I was intoxicated, but it is not because of alcohol. If it is bang, right?
Yeah.
Or
Now
Or
imagine.
some other pills.
Yeah,
So, like,
yeah.
from the medical test, they'll actually check.
Yeah,
that.
now there are 2 offenses here. One on the narcotic side,
Yeah.
and now on the sexual offenses side.
So it will still look at both,
It will look at
but
both.
it will look at both. Okay.
Yes.
Ni kubaya huko msee. Ni kubaya. Like, kila kitu.
And
ni
then
kubaya.
that's the other thing. When it comes to some of these, like bang looks very harmless to so many people.
Yeah.
But it's an illegal drug in this country. That's fact.
Hebu
Whether you
remind
have bought
people
it at
tena.
20 shillings somewhere,
Rudia to your point. Unajua, maybe sisi tukisema inaka from an advocate's mouth.
it's an illegal drug in this country.
Uko
Whether you
sure?
have bought it at 50 shillings or 200 or 500, the fact remains it's an illegal.
illegal.
And for the young people, you just find them carelessly somewhere in a public area, not even private. Uko nje kwa club, you find them smoking bang. It's illegal. Kwanza utashikiwa hiyo.
Wanakunywa
Before
bangi.
tuendelee, whether you're underage or not.
Yeah.
It's illegal, and you'll be subjected to the same thing if you are a drug dealer.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Ataka ni blunt ya chwani.
Hata kama ni blunt ya chwani. Nilisikia kuna hizo zingine it's not the original stuff. So they take the leaves. Zinaitwa or something. I'm forgetting the name. Anyway, the non-original one, the leaves. Kuna the actual thing and then there's the leaves. The one that tishiki vizuri.
Ni wanda unatuambia sisi hatujui.
The cheap one. So that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's an illegal drug.
Yeah.
If you're caught using it, whether it's a cool thing or not, it's still illegal.
Yeah.
And you'll be subjected to.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess my parting shot would be, again, I would highly advise msichana amelewa from a guy's perspective. Msichana amelewa usishike, because I don't think you are fit for committee, and let's just protect our women out here.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the guys, you need to keep hearing it. Huyo dem anaweza amka na aseme akumbuki anything.
Yeah.
Whether lying ama honestly akumbuki, it can happen.
Yeah.
But naye the first time inaenda wherever and then she just comes out and she says she wasn't in the right frame of mind to give that consent.
Yeah.
That had she been sober, she would not have done that.
Yeah.
And then her friends wakuja agree to the same. Ndio umepata witnesses. That she was drunk, having fun, dancing with you like she danced with any other guy.
Yeah.
And then when ukaona sijui mwendo wapi muongee.
Yeah.
They're like, cool, twende. And then things happen.
Yeah, like
guys really need to be careful.
Ukiangalia your scale ya benefits and risks, like it just doesn't balance out.
Yes.
The amount of risk you're putting yourself by putting yourself in a position where you're going to bed a woman who has who has ingested alcohol, like that risk is just too high in my opinion. Yeah. So for the sake of both of you, because again, as a cool dame, you really don't know how she behaves when she's drunk, so she might seem like she has her cognitive abilities intact, but she really doesn't remember anything. Wewe haujui. On the other hand, Pia, like, let's just be honest with ourselves. Toxic masculinity kando, you are not fit for committee. All you guys listening to me, you are not fit for committee.
If you're listening to our podcast,
you are not fit for committee. You are soft life ambassador. So please, to maintain your soft life ambassador status, enda chukua namba yake alafu mtext kesho asubuhi.
Chukua namba, chukua IG, chukua Snapchat kwa nataka, venye utampata tu vizuri, jua naishi wapi, lakini chunga msee.
Kesho akiamka na alenge text zako, jua you have potentially evade a rape case. You have potentially avoid, because ange regret. Kama hataki kuongelesha the next day, then she would have not appreciated you guys sleeping with each other. That's and my parting shot.
On my end, if you've faced any kind of sexual assault, harassment, whatever kind of sexual offense, then feel free to reach out to the people who can help you. Yes, we are here. If you feel like you need to institute a case or anything of that sort, we are here to help. And also, therapy guidance, counseling, all that.
Na kwanza hiyo point yenye ulisema, which is very important, enda hosi.
And I was
Yeah.
Like amka, enda hosi.
Kwanza ukisikia tu the other party ameanza story, whether it's for the chick or the guy, but
Yeah.
if the other partner ameanza tu anything,
Yeah.
go to hospital pia ukuwe na parts zako ready.
Yeah.
Kuwe ready. Pascal, parting shot yako.
Hey, tuchunge manze, like people are crazy and bad and malicious huku nje, so
Yeah.
like really be careful about the people you meet, the interactions you get, and the things you agree to.
Yeah.
Hiyo ndo yangu tu.
Haya. Hey, leo.
Manze, it was supposed to be a small conversation, but
hii nilijua itakuwa small.
na ni kitu rough. People do go through it.
Yeah.
People do.
Yeah.
And it's
Very common.
Yeah.
Very
Very
common.
true.
in so many situations, whether it's other types of intoxicants apart from alcohol,
Yeah.
whether it's for the guy or the girl,
Yeah.
both agreeing, underage, all these things happen, and they happen way too frequently. That
Yeah.
like,
Yes.
That just take care of yourselves out there.
manze, when is soft life kona tusikiza, so
Yeah, when you soft
weka
life
tu-
ambassador, believe you me. Hakuna mtu kabichi anasikia hii podcast. If you're listening to this,
Yeah.
when you
It's
soft
for
life
you.
ambassador, avoid that life. Anyway,
And
yeah.
consent.
let's try and see if we can
Paramount.
get to that point as a generation where we are vocal about our consent.
Yes.
Let's hope so.
I
Yeah.
really hope we get there, because it will help a lot of people,
Yeah.
all of us in
Yeah.
so many ways.
True.
So where you can be vocal.
Yes.
True. Haya. Tumemaliza.
Yeah, we're done. Go Instagram.
Thank you.
Follow us on our channels.
Yes,
You can
yes.
find us on different platforms, Spotify.
Yeah, and I think when we release this, because Uli mentioned they should get help if someone finds themselves, we can look for where, like, if there are toll-free numbers to call,
Yeah.
so that when we release this episode, we release with that information, so that
Yeah.
it informs them in case they find themselves in such a situation.
Yeah.
For
Same
sure.
with some legal stuff. To
Yeah,
put
for
there.
sure.
Yes. Haya, asanteni.
Yes.
Awesome. Bye.
Bye.
Consent.
Consent.
Bye.
Yes, consent.
Okay.